Hey guys, I am a self-proclaimed watch junkie and watch enthusiast, and today we're going to be talking about whether buying a Rolex is a good watch investment. A Rolex has historically been a really good investment, and typically fine watches, specifically Rolex, has held its value over time really well. And if you look at a Rolex and the value of Rolexes, they've historically gone up over time. Rolexes are really historically a very good investment, and here's why. So Rolex has really good brand association. There's a real market for Rolexes, and there's a real following for a Rolex watch. And the brand itself has a lot of clout in the market, and for a handful of different reasons. You know, there's a really deep history with Rolexes, and there's lots of famous people that have owned Rolexes, and it's really collectible. Another reason is that the craftsmanship of a Rolex is unbelievably high, and they use very fine material and special steel and gold and other really fine metals and precious stones in the creation of a watch. And there's a lot of care that goes into a Rolex. And so for those reasons, it's a really collectible watch brand, and also that aids to the increase of value and the collectability of a Rolex over time. Rolex makes a handful of different styles and models of their watch. The most historic is a Rolex Submariner that is highly collectible and unbelievably classic. A lot of folks, when they think of a watch, they think of a Rolex Submariner. So I would start with the Submariner, and there's a long, very strong history over the course of time of a Submariner, and it's changed over time, but it's a very classic look. Other models that Rolex makes that's really popular are GMTs, and also newer models that are very popular, such as a Sea Dweller or Sky Dweller. They also make Datejusts that are really popular and really evolved a lot over time, but also there's vintage collectability as well to some of these models that are really popular that have been created for many, many years. Let's talk about some vintage Rolex watches. Vintage Rolex watches are a really unique type of watch, a really unique category. And so vintage Rolexes are incredibly collectible, and there is a huge market for kind of older vintage type Rolexes. And it really spans a wide variety. You have sport models that are highly, highly collectible, like a 1980 Rolex Submariner, you know, with certain characteristics to it, and a lot, just like a lot of other very collectible markets, you see a lot of variance as well in this market, and you'll see very specific details that are very highly collectible. One example would be certain markings on a dial are more collectible than other types of dials, and it gets very nuanced. And collectors are very ingrained in this market and the collectability of a vintage Rolex. What do you look for in purchasing a vintage watch? Well, there's a few things you're gonna wanna look for. You're gonna wanna first make sure you're buying from a reputable watch dealer. There's a lot of availability online, and not all would be recommended to purchase from. So definitely make sure you're buying from a reputable watch dealer, whether it's online or in a store. Second, you want to really look at the provenance of the watch. Make sure that the watch has paperwork. Make sure it's been inspected. Make sure service has been done on the watch. Make sure the watch is in good condition. You'll definitely want to inspect the watch, or have the watch inspected. Not just the outside, but also have the bezel and the dial and the movement inspected, just to make sure there was no funny business or fake parts added into the movement and things like that. And honestly, that could happen. So, you know, be really careful. And if you do buy from a reputable watch dealer, they should be able to cover you and make sure that that doesn't happen. Don't be afraid to hold on to your investment, and don't forget that these highly sought after, expensive watches really deserve insurance. And if you're looking for insurance, check out BriteCo. We offer amazing coverage at a really affordable price.